Me fail English? That's impossible. Hey, it's me, Dave LaMont. Been a while. Thank you very much for joining me today on the Nooner. And you may wonder, why don't you do these all the time? Maybe you don't wonder. I'll be honest. As Neil Young once said, as soon as I learn how to talk, I forgot what to say. And there are just times I don't have anything I think that's worthy of your time or my time to add. Am I going to do a Heat playoff preview? There's 7,000 of those out there. Panthers playoff preview? There's 6,550 of them out there. A recap of the draft? I mean, this is stuff you can get anywhere. What I'm hoping to try to do is just to be a little bit different, come off in a different direction. Yes, there are times I'll do something mainstream like that, but I just don't want to waste time, yours or mine. So that's why I'm back today, because I have other things to talk about. Yes, we know the Panthers would recover. You had to figure the team was just too good to get swept at home by an okay Washington team. I think the Panthers will be fine. The Heat have drawn a lucky card with Philadelphia without Embiid. The Heat will be fine. Boston is probably the team that they should be worried about. I know Milwaukee's great too, but that's going to be sticky, to say the least. In the meantime, I have to tell you the story about what happened with me and my friends at Facebook on my birthday, which was a few days ago. And thank you for the wishes. And I have to thank you this way because I tried to thank you individually. I always try, and I don't always succeed, but I get a lot of birthday wishes from folks, and I really do think it's fantastic you take the time to do that. So I'm trying to thank everybody, writing a quick, you like it, and then you write a quick thank you or thanks, or you get the name in there. Well, right in the middle of it, right in fact, I was about to thank somebody who I know fairly well, and I get a notice from Facebook basically saying you've exceeded your limit on this. And they blocked me, and what? Now, I understand Facebook has to block people for things like threatening messages or overtly obscene messages or photos. I'm okay with that. For one, do not understand all the people who just spend their time cursing on Facebook. To me, it looks classless. Really, I try to almost never use a curse word on Facebook unless it's absolutely, in my mind, fits what I'm trying to say. But here, I'm just literally saying thank you. That is all I'm doing. There are no subliminal messages. There are no political messages. There are no obscene messages or gestures or photos or any of that stuff. And I got stopped in my tracks to the point where I even took a picture of the message and I couldn't put that. It literally was locked out until the next day. So I got a lot of messages and a lot of thanks, and I'm eternally grateful for that. It's nice to know that you have friends. And some folks, with Facebook, you don't actually know the people. They may know you through something you've done, or they say, oh, that's Dave LaMont. I know him. It's great. I'm thoroughly, thoroughly happy and thoroughly touched by all of that. But I cannot understand, with all of the garbage that's out there on social media, how thanking somebody is harmful to Facebook. Doing it too many times is harmful to Facebook. Saying thank you. Somebody from Facebook would have to sit here with me and literally hold my hand and go, now, Dave, if you say thank you more than a certain number of times, we have to stop you from saying thank you. I like to live a common sense lifestyle as much as I possibly can. I wish there was more common sense in the world. And this is a perfect example of an absolute violation of common sense. So there's a lot of thank yous I didn't get to, and I might try to do it this weekend. Not going anywhere, although we do have Mother's Day weekend coming up, and I hope that you all don't forget that, your moms, your wives, your grandmothers, and everybody. So don't forget. I know. Go ahead. Hit me with but every day is Mother's Day. Yeah, I know. But guess what? I'm okay with these little one-off holidays like Father's Day, Mother's Day, and all that. It's cool. Valentine's Day. I don't get as cynical as I am as a person, and I am a hardcore cynic. I'm not so cynical that I don't go, why does there have to be a special day for Valentine's? Because they're trying to make money? Yeah, that's exactly why. They're trying to make money. Same with St. Patrick's Day and all the bars that go wide open. Or just yesterday, Cinco de Mayo. My wife and I went out to dinner, a later dinner to celebrate my birthday because she was out of town on my birthday. And we went to a really great restaurant in Fort Lauderdale called Gastrotech, and it was empty. You know why? It's not a Mexican restaurant. Why would I go to a Mexican restaurant on Cinco de Mayo and join 80 billion other people? It's why I don't go out on New Year's Eve. It might be part of it, but it's it seems silly. That's why I don't go to an Irish pub on St. Patrick's Day. Why? It seems redundant. I'll go the next day. I'll go the day before. I might go have Mexican food this weekend, but I'm not going to do it on Cinco de Mayo. I'll go to a place where it's not going to be very crowded and I can get great food, which we did last night. So, you space yourself out. You pick your spots. And that's always amuses the heck out of me that we got to go at Cinco de Mayo. No, you don't. You don't have to get drunk on New Year's Eve unless you really want to, and in St. Patrick's Day unless you really want to. But oh, was there this March Madness afternoon. And by the way, that time of day, what do you do with the rest of your day? You've got to stop at some point, right? That's why I'm not a big day drinker. I've always been blown away by people. You know, I've been in airports at all hours of the day in my life, from being in an airport at 5 in the morning to being in an airport at midnight. And there's a bar open somewhere, and there's somebody at 6 a.m. sucking down alcohol. I don't mean Bloody Marys. I've seen beers at 6 in the morning. Really? Do you have, I don't want to say a problem, but how does that taste at 6 a.m.? I don't want to know. Remember one time when I was a student at the University of Miami, I had to do a project on camera. And I was doing, I think, a scene from Death of a Salesman. Don't ask me why. I don't remember. And I had to drink beer during the scene. And it's 10 in the morning. And I had like a Pabst or, a Schlitz or Stroh's or one of those rot gut jobs. And I'm sipping it. And while I'm trying to do this scene, and at the same time, I'm thinking, you are an idiot. This is terrible. And since I'm not a Bloody Mary guy, because I don't like the tomatoey part of it at all, I don't like the smell of it. So you have all Bloody Marys you want. I'm pro vodka, anti tomato juice, or V8 or whatever the hell you put in those things to make it look that way. Ugh, even the smell of it, can't handle it. So I just, save any alcohol I'm going to have for later in the day. About once a year, I'll have something at lunch, maybe twice. That's about it. That's just me. Those of you who drink, I'm blown away. Or the people you get inside the plane, where George Carlin said, "F you, I'm going in the plane, not on the plane. You can go on the plane." The people who drink at 6, 7 a.m. always astonishes me. That how they can do it. I'm not saying it's bad or it's evil or it's illegal. It should be. It's your body. It's your life. But it blows me out the water how people can do that. I'm barely choking down a second cup of coffee, and I'm okay. I hadn't had that. Boy, that whiskey smells good right now at 7 o'clock. So anyhow, back to my original point about Facebook. Screw you guys for blocking me for trying to people who were kind enough to wish me a happy birthday earlier this week. That is my point. Now, the other big thing that's going on, South Florida, if you don't know, and for those of you who live here, you know this already. This is an event city. And there are other big cities that have big events and they treat them accordingly. And we do it here too. But what's coming up with the Formula One, the Grand Prix of Miami, is beyond anything I would have ever expected. This town has gone absolutely nuts. And the events and the buildup, hopefully the race is good. And hopefully the weather allows the race to be good. Because I don't remember anything catching on that's new like this. Now, listen, this is a town that's had a ton of Super Bowls, almost to the point where we're slightly blasé about it. All right. We've had the Stanley Cup finals here. We've had the NBA finals here. We've had an undefeated pro football team, an undefeated college football team. We've had the NCAA championships decided here. We've had a lot of incredible events: tennis, golf, all of it. Rarely, if ever, have I seen anything with this kind of buildup is what's going to happen starting today with the practice sessions. Tickets, forget about it. If they're available, they're so obscenely priced, and I really wanted to go this weekend. There's no way I can afford that. It's off the chain ridiculous. You still say off the chain? Yeah, I just did. But at the same time, as a new fan of Formula One, and I go back with sports when I was a complete sportsaholic as a teenager, I watched all of this stuff. I knew everything about everything, or so I thought. But I kind of got away. Auto racing sort of got away from me, and I might watch a Daytona, I might watch an Indy. But now, because of Drive to Survive, which was just renewed for 2 more seasons, by the way, Formula One in this country is ridiculous. You don't get a Miami race without that show. You don't get a Vegas race without that show. You don't get 400,000 people on race weekend in Austin, Texas without that show. And what's happened, I noticed, is what I like to call the "I saw this band before you did" phenomenon. You know how some people get about their favorite band when it becomes popular and they get resentful that they're not the only ones who like them? Like you have a group of 4 or 5 friends and I like this band. Oh, I don't know much about them. Yeah, they're cool. And then the band gets hot and then more people join on the bandwagon and then that original fan gets resentful. Well, that's kind of what's happening with Formula One, especially from what I understand, people in Europe who have been following this Formula One for a while are kind of mad about the show. Well, it's inventing things. It's making, yeah, guess what? It's working. And if they put a storyline that's slightly inaccurate, it's still working. True story. Wednesday night, I was announcing a soccer game in a studio down in Hollywood. And there's another game after hours. We had some time to kill before we got serious about our broadcast. And I ended up talking to a gentleman who lives in San Diego, who's a statistician for the San Diego Loyal soccer team, but happens to also work for F1 for the TV broadcast as a statistician that's owned by F1. And they do a phenomenal job with the broadcast, by the way. The one that you'll see on ESPN Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, I believe it's 3:30 Eastern, is put on by Formula One. And it's extremely fun. So anyway, this guy is a statistician, and he's telling me the story about what this show has meant. He said he lives in San Diego. Poor guy. The hell of it all. And he said he would tell people a few years ago what he did, and they're like, "Oh, that's nice." Now he tells he works for Formula One, and they assault him verbally. What about this guy? What about? In other words, they go nuts, or they tell him what a fan they are. Why? I'm not going to tell you because you already know the answer. So he apparently was doing a portion of an audience, a presentation, not the podium, but a presentation, and in Austin, where he can't see. There's so many people. All he sees are people, hundreds of thousands. And he says, "How many of you are here because of Drive to Survive?" And almost every hand went up. So for those of you who are like, "Well, I liked Formula One before the TV show. I don't like it as much now because the show is too bad. Suck it up." Guess what? I saw U2 open for the Jay Giles band, and I liked them. And I became a fan before they became popular. Guess what? I'm still a fan now that they're one of the biggest bands in the world. It was fun watching them grow from opening at the West Palm Beach Auditorium, the Circle, which I think is a church now, for when Jay Giles was hot, to become to the Red Rocks Amphitheater show on Showtime. Look it up someday. then to the fame of, let's see, what was the next step? Oh, the Hollywood Auditorium. Actually, no, it was at US Festival or whatever, where Bono climbed the tower, he had the mullet. Then playing the old Hollywood Sportatorium. Then the next time they're in the Orange Bowl. They're a stadium act. Then the Orange Bowl isn't used anymore for concerts hardly, and they're playing what was then, God knows, Robbie Pro Player, Margaritaville Stadium, hole in the ground stadium, whatever. Was I resentful that other people were listening to you too? No. What's the matter with you? How selfish can you be? Oh, I've been watching that TV show from the beginning. Where have you been? You can't really make that statement anymore now with streaming. You can go back and watch a show from 15 years ago, and you can catch up. Where were you? Oh, you watched The Wire, didn't you? I watched it when it was live. Come on. I can be as petty as the next person, but that's really petty. Seems unnecessarily petty. So anyway, Drive to Survive ain't going anywhere soon. So at least 2 more years. I'm really curious to see what the PGA version looks like, because some of these drivers are pretty interesting people. And the other thing that absolutely blows me away is the multilingual capabilities of these people. The English they speak is better than the English most of us speak who lived our lives in the United States. And these are guys who speak 2, 3, 4 languages, and their English is outstanding. I don't know where they learned it. I know why they learned it, because it's a universal language, but it's impressive. I'm blown away by it. And then they can switch to Italian or German or Monegasque or whatever. It's damn impressive. So I don't know if the PGA Tour has compelling people like that. One of the more compelling people is Phil Mickelson. And here's a shock. He has gambling problems. The old Alan Shipnuck book, another little mildly shocking part, is that he's blown about $40 million, he being Mickelson, not Alan Shipnuck, between 2010 and 2014 when they went and audited him. He did do some insider trading, which nobody seems to be outraged about. I don't know why. Oh, I know, because he wasn't dealing with Perkins waitresses. That seemed to bother more people. And so they think he blew about 40 million gambling. Now, your first thought is, don't you like to gamble, Dave? I do. Well, isn't that his money, Dave? It is. But 40 million might be indicative of perhaps a 1-800 call. You know how casinos have those little brochures if you need help, or they, it's the equivalent of drink responsibly ads. Whenever you see an alcohol ad anymore, beer or the hard stuff or whatever, drink responsibly. You have to kind of throw that in there. Same with the gambling people. Maybe Lefty does need that 800 number call. Because while he has made a ton in endorsements and through his own golfing skills, which are considerable, apparently he's been giving a lot of it back. And he has a retinue of people he has to pay off. People who work for him. So I don't know, man. Either that or he better start making some better decisions about what he's gambling on. Because 40 million is a lot of getting your butt kicked. If I lose $40, I'm upset. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose 40 million over a period of X number of years. But anyway, we'll see how he gets treated when he comes back in May. I'm sure he'll be slurped, to borrow the Mike Wilbon phrase, by either the media, certainly by the fans, and it's their right. If you like the guy, like him. That's okay. I stuck with Tiger through all his failings. More of a moral, immoral nature, I guess, in some cases. But yeah, I get it. You like a guy, you like a guy. It takes a lot to turn people off. There's still Mike Vick fans out there. Even though Vick has worked on his image and is now a broadcaster for Fox, there's still people who are going to hold the dog thing against him, and I might be one of them. I find myself uncomfortable dealing with anything with Mike Vick. So I get how somebody can scar themselves for life, but in someone else's eyes. Oh, by the way, did you see the moronic Garcia stuff. Another guy I really despise, saying he's can't wait to get off this tour and don't have to deal with you people anymore when he got into a rule dispute. You know what? Goodbye, you miserable, grumpy son of a bitch. Goodbye. If you really are leaving to go play for Greg Norman or whatever you do, good riddance. You overhyped, one major winning, loudmouth, whiny, bad tempered, ill tempered, blah. Not going to be missed. Bye bye. God, what a waste of talent. Yes, a great player sometimes, but wow. To me, that's a what might have been career. What might have been if this part had been as good as the rest of it. But it wasn't. And it still isn't, apparently, even though he should be old enough to not act like that anymore. And he had great moments representing Europe in the Ryder Cup. Can't deny that. But I ain't going to miss him. If he really does leave the PGA Tour and goes to whatever this thing Norman's doing, have a nice time. Good luck. Bless. Get out of my life. Won't be missed one. Seriously. Not good. Well, I think that's enough for one day. So enjoy the race this weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. Revel in the fact that we're in an area that has a great basketball team and a great hockey team and a halfway decent baseball team, apparently. Halfway decent. And may have a more than halfway decent NFL team and hopefully a more than halfway decent major college football team after a more than halfway decent performance by the major college basketball team. And should I complain about the people who only watch football for their favorite schools and pretend that other sports don't exist? Because apparently there are Hurricanes fans like that. I know there are Gators fans like that. I know that I could ask some of my Gators buddies who love their football team about basketball. Don't know. Oh, they might remember they won a couple titles. Joakim Noah. Yeah, I remember him. He was great. Who's the coach? I don't remember. Come on, people. You root for the whole package. You don't just root for one team. If you're a UM fan, you should be a UM fan of the basketball team, the baseball team, the tennis team, women's basketball, all of it. Not just, I love football, man. Don't be a Neanderthal. All right, that's enough complaining for one day. Thank you again for all the birthday wishes, and we'll talk again. It's okay. It's okay.